All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all, and welcome back to the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide, as together we will cross this time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. My first guest tonight, X-Zone Nation, is ELLIOTT Van Dusen. He's the Corporate Director of the Canadian Association of Parapsychological Research and Investigation, also known as Paranormal Phenomena Research and Investigation, and he is in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And we're going to be talking to ELLIOTT tonight about the Halifax Paranormal Symposium. That's the 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium. It's being held on Saturday, October the 12th at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Convention Centre, and tickets are available at ppri.net/tickets. And if you'd like to contact the hotel, the Halifax Tower Hotel and Convention Centre, to book your rooms, better make it soon. Area code 902-444-3700. That's 902-444-3700. And if you'd like to send ELLIOTT an email, Van Dusen, that's VANDUSEN @ppri.net. And joining us now is ELLIOTT Van Dusen. ELLIOTT, welcome back to the X Zone. Always great having you with us.
Thanks for having me again, Rob, and I couldn't have said all that better myself.
Oh, so are you getting excited because there's only 42 days left or something like that before the symposium this year?
Yeah, been really busy with our last minute planning here. It's coming up really quick on us, and we just ordered our t-shirts, our volunteer t-shirts, and we got a few extra this year because last year we literally were selling a couple of those t-shirts off of our backs from people that really wanted a Halifax Paranormal Symposium t-shirt. So this year we'll actually have some for sale, and we have some different PPRI t-shirts for sale. We did really well last year. It was the first time that we organized it in 2023. It was also at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center, which is a fairly new hotel in the Bayers Lake part of Halifax. It's gorgeous. They spared no expense. The continental breakfast is unreal. It's got everything: bacon, eggs. It's got a high-end Keurig coffee machine. The view, it's a 360-degree view, so you can see all Halifax. Absolutely gorgeous venue, and they are one of our gold sponsors this year. They really helped us out, by giving us as many discounts that they can. So we're really excited. We've got some great guest speakers lined up this year. I'm going to speak myself. I'm going to talk about law enforcement and the paranormal. Talk about some of the things that law enforcement do with the paranormal, such as using mediums for missing person and homicide investigations. Also, some remote viewing in similar cases as well, and kind of touch on some experiences that law enforcement have had with the supernatural. I've written 2 books on it, so I think I'll be able to cover that off fairly well. Also have Chris Rakowski coming in from Winnipeg, Manitoba, who does UFO research, and he's actually coming for the Shag Harbor Expo at the end of September, but he's doing 2 different presentations. I've actually asked him to speak on alien abduction. So really excited to hear Chris's presentation on that. Very, very popular, we're very lucky to have this popular, but John G. Cruz is coming up from the Ryan Research Center. No better guest speaker to have than somebody that works at the Ryan Research Center. For those listeners out there that don't know what Ryan Research Center is, it's named after J.B. Ryan and his wife, Louisa Ryan. They are basically the founders of parapsychology. They used to work for Duke University. In their parapsychological laboratory. When the funding ran out for that, they created their own nonprofit right across the road, basically from Duke University, called the Ryan Research Center. So we have John coming up. He's going to speak to us about electronic psychokinesis and how people can affect systems, computers. He actually had a case where the school had to call the Ryan Research Center and actually have them assist in a little boy that would come into the classroom, and the computers would go haywire and the printers would start spitting paper out. So really looking forward to John's presentation. And then we also have Laura Warren. We do listen to the feedback that we get from our clients. And one of the feedbacks that we got last year from the Halifax Paranormal Symposium was that people wanted to hear from a medium and talk about mediumship and also protection techniques, what you can do to kind of protect yourself, when you're investigating or dabbling in the occult. So Laura Warren from the television show Sightseers is going to be coming to speak to us about that. And then last but not least, we'll have Holly Stevens. She's a local celebrity in Halifax. She is on Eastlink's Haunted, going into season 16, I believe.
Wow.
It's been going that long. So she's going to talk to us about paranormal equipment and the difference between using it scientifically and on television. So we have a great lineup. Really looking forward to it.
Now, I understand this year you're also going to have some vendors. And who are some of the vendors you're going to be having, and what are they going to be vending?
Oh, yeah. Vendors was another thing, Rob, that really came up on our feedback form. A lot of people wanted to see some more vendors this year. So we do have some returning vendors. Excited to welcome Maritime Haunting back. And they're actually going to bring a life-size Wendigo that they made for one of their episodes in season 2, which hasn't been released yet. So I'm sure that's going to be popular. They had some special effects teams kind of design one. They used real, like antlers and things like that. So I think that's going to be really popular with people wanting to get their photo taken with the Wendigo. We also have some other returning vendors, such as Healing from the Heart. They do kind of card work, and they tap into your ancestors and with guidance. We're going to have the Reiki room for anybody that's interested in Reiki. We didn't have anybody that did Reiki last year, but we are going to have somebody doing that. We have Steve Vernon coming back. He sold a lot of his ghost books. He writes true crime murder books and maritime haunting and ghost stories. So he'll be another popular vendor again. And then of course we have a couple of social media influencers coming this year as well, which great. We have Lomar Mendez, who has over 60,000 followers on YouTube, and him and his common law there, Lacey, who's a professional photographer. They'll both be there. She does some kind of like spooky paranormal photographs. Love her work, and we're very excited to have them. And We have capacity to hold 18 vendors, and I think right now we're sitting at about 16, so we're almost sold out for vendors.
Now, for the listeners who may not know this, can you tell us what a Wendigo is?
Yeah, so Wendigo is actually Algonquin First Nations belief in this kind of half man, half creature. It kind of looks like, if you Google a Wendigo, it kind of looks like a mix of like a deer and a human. It's got different body parts on it, and there's a lot of like folklore around it that it attacks humans, and it's kind of a man eater, or that it's like an evil spirit in the Algonquin culture. And I was reading an article. Actually, I posted a video on TikTok not too long ago about the Wendigo, and there's actually kind of a Wendigo syndrome that they talked about back when there was a lot of shortages on food and famine, and some people started to cannibalize other members of the tribe, and they would believe that that person was possessed or influenced by the Wendigo. So it's got kind of a deep, dark history to it. I actually had an RCMP officer. It's not in any of the two books that I wrote. It was after my second book about more supernatural encounters with law enforcement. But I had a call from an RCMP officer out west that told me that she had seen a Wendigo on patrol one night, and she described it as being like half deer, half man. She went to the detachment. She told the detachment clerk about it, and then she called her nephew, who kind of sketched out what she was describing and seeing. And it turned out that once it was sketched out, they recognized that they were First Nations that were doing the sketching. And they said, that was a Wendigo that you saw. So I thought that was really interesting to have, an RCMP officer, number one, come forward with that information. But number two, they're trained to observe and, pay attention and attention to detail. And for them to say that they saw a Wendigo, I thought that was pretty powerful.
Why do you think, and why I pause there, because I've got about 45 seconds to ask you this question. Why do you think the paranormal is still so very popular?
You know what? I think it's because it's the unknown. We're fascinated by that, and we just have that need to have that spookiness and that unknown kind of told to us, and we can't help but be fascinated with it.
ELLIOTT Van Dusen is my very special guest to this hour. Exonation, we're talking about the 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium that's being held on Saturday, October 12th, 2024 at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center. For tickets, and they're going fast, email ppri, go to this website, ppri.net/tickets. And you can read all about the Halifax Paranormal Symposium in the September and in the October edition of the X-Chronicles newspaper. ELLIOTT and I will return after this short break, so whatever you don't go away, and you're listening to the X-Zone radio and TV show right here from your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca.
Ships of the line, ships of the morn. Some who wish they'd never been born, they are the ghosts of Cape Horn. Ballerella, riddle rum with a rim dim diddy and a rum dum dum. Sailing away at the break of dawn, they are the ghosts of Cape Horn. See them all in sad repair, demons dance everywhere, southern gales, tattered sails, and none to tell a tale. Come all of you rusty ghosts.
And welcome back, everyone. We're talking about the 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium this hour here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. My special guest is ELLIOTT Van Dusen. And the Halifax Paranormal Symposium is going to be held on Saturday, October 12th, 2024, at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center in Halifax. Tickets are available online at ppri.net/tickets. And if you'd like to contact ELLIOTT directly, his email address is vandusen, that's VANDUSEN, at ppri.net. What's your favorite part of the paranormal, ELLIOTT?
Oh, my favorite part of the paranormal is, I would have to say, trying to solve those mysteries. I've been on some investigations myself where, we have been able to solve some mysteries, and then sometimes we walk away and still don't know the answer. An example, I just actually was at a double 40th birthday party there on the weekend and ran into one of my clients from before. She has an Airbnb that she rents in Truro, Nova Scotia. And she had seen a female apparition in her Airbnb once before. She had seen some muddy footprints appear in the kitchen, and she'd wiped the floors clean, and then next time she'd come back to the home, the footprints would be there. And then the third thing that was happening was the curtain on the back door. No matter how many times you'd pull it to the left, it would eventually be pulled back to the right. So myself and one of my investigators had spent the night there. We didn't see the apparition, and we didn't see the footprints appear while we were there, but we did solve one of the mysteries. And we had set some cameras up in the kitchen, and where the footprints and the curtain would move. And what we noticed is over the night, when the furnace would kick in, the curtain would ever so slightly move over to the right. So if you were sitting in the kitchen having a bowl of cereal at the table, you wouldn't notice it. But over the course of several hours, because we had the cameras, you could see that each time the furnace kicked in, it would move over just ever so slightly. So we were able to solve one of those three mysteries. And I always consider that a win as well, because, you're getting a call and a complaint from a client about an issue. So if we're able to resolve even one of those issues, I always look at that as a successful win, even though it's, not paranormal.
Sure. How close are we, in your opinion, are we to getting the steadfast smoking gun evidence that would put, for once and for all, whether or not ghosts are real, the paranormal is real, or is there more of a humanistic reason or cause for what we call the paranormal?
Well, if you look at ghosts, I think we've certainly made headway. I know Dr. Sam Perina, who is a medical doctor, teaches at New York University. He's run two scientific studies called Project Aware, and they bring people back that are basically, they sign up participants that are critical or, in the process of dying, and they sign a release saying that if they do die, that you can try and resuscitate them and bring them back. And he's done this study twice now with multiple different participants. And what he is able to say empirically, or as we used to like to say in law enforcement, beyond a reasonable doubt, is he knows that human consciousness survives outside the body after death for at least 2 hours. Whatever happens after that, he couldn't say, whether or not our soul walks through that white bright light and goes to another realm, or whether our energy just dissipates. It would all be speculation at that point. But he does know that at least 2 hours after death, human consciousness still exists outside the body. And how he knows this is people had those near-death experiences in his projects. Some I remember two of them that were really interesting. So one gentleman said that he was floating above the hospital, and of course we can all picture like a helipad on top of the hospital. That's classic, you see that on TV. But he was actually able to tell which lights were burnt out on the roof. And obviously this guy was bedridden. He had never been up to the roof. And when the researchers went upstairs to check and verify, sure enough, the exact lights that he said that were burnt out were in fact burnt out. And then another gentleman had, again, bedridden, obviously, in end-of-stage life, actually wandered around the hospital and went into a certain doctor's office and saw some notes and things posted up on the wall. And so, of course, when he was resuscitated and brought back, he was reliving his experiences outside of his body. And the researchers, again, confirmed, yeah, sure enough, there is an office where he described, and they did see those items posted on the wall. So very fascinating. I think that we've certainly made some advances towards that aspect of the paranormal. Now, other things, we're still quite a distance away, such as proving certain cryptids, whether or not they exist, extraterrestrial life, things like that. I think we're still quite a ways away from getting any sort of empirical or hard evidence.
Are there any sets of demographics that you as a paranormal investigator would be able to look at to see if there's any trend amongst male, female, ages, religious affiliation, or, schooling level, what they do in life and so on?
Well, in my experience, I've been researching and investigating and interviewing people for 27 years now in relation to the paranormal.
Right.
One thing we know, obviously, is that believers tend to have more paranormal experiences than non-believers. That makes sense. Somebody put it to me, very bluntly one time, is, if a skeptical person saw a ghost, that goes against their entire belief system, so they're going to have trouble, believing what happened. So they might say, oh, I might have saw something out of the corner of my eye, I'm not 100% sure, and they're not really going to confirm that they had a ghost sighting. Whereas a believer is obviously more apt to go along with their belief. So we do know that believers tend to have more experiences than skeptics. Most of my clientele that come to my public speaking events and that report cases to me have been female, usually middle-aged female, I've noticed. As far as cultures, I've mostly only dealt with people with European background
Right.
that have reported things. I haven't really had any in Nova Scotia now we have a very high East Indian population. We have a very high Arabic population. Haven't dealt with any jinns from the Arabic side or any East Indians contacting us about reincarnation cases or anything like that. So it's mostly been Caucasian, European background.
That raises a very interesting point. For example, up here in Canada, we don't get a lot of cases of voodoo, the Walking Dead, and yet this seems to be something that is found throughout the Caribbean because of the influence of the Africans that were brought over and settled by not only the Spanish but also by the trading within the slave industry going back to then. Does this tell us anything about the factuality of the paranormal or its start?
I think that different cultures, like you said, voodoo kind of more popular around like the Caribbeans, and then of course when they came to North America, New Orleans, there was a high population that settled down there, so they kind of brought their beliefs in voodoo down there.
Right.
That's why it's so popular. I think that there's certain cultures in certain parts of the world that have kind of their own beliefs in the paranormal or their own kind of phenomena per se, whereas apparitional sightings have been reported like all over the entire world. Voodoo, like you said, it's got that Caribbean, African New Orleans kind of area. And then skinwalkers, I always laugh. We always get asked about skinwalkers in Nova Scotia, but skinwalkers are actually a Navajo belief, and Canada overall doesn't have a very high population of Navajo First Nations at all. So really, we have the Wendigo, which is, like I said, an Algonquin belief. But as for a skinwalker in Canada, I would be very skeptical of that, because that's actually, like I said, a Navajo belief. So obviously we hear about these different things because of television and, of course, also relocation as well. When people relocate and bring their beliefs and their culture into society, of course, then you could start hearing, stories about say the skinwalkers, for example. If we did have a bunch of Navajo move into the area, you may start hearing stories about skinwalkers. So if you look at paranormal cases, they do have, a psychological and sociological, cultural aspect to them, which I also find very interesting as well.
What is a skinwalker?
So skinwalker, again, is it's a belief by the Navajo, and it's a supernatural creature that is responsible for basically being causing like harm, able to kind of transform and possess and disguise themselves as an animal. The Navajo believed that they were shapeshifters. They could change into coyotes, wolves, foxes, eagles, owls, things like that. They're always depicted as being a malevolent being that engages in dark practices like black magic, and very deeply rooted in the Navajo tradition and belief systems. And they actually don't even really like to discuss it. And I've never seen the show Skinwalker Ranch. I try not to watch those shows. I watch about 2 minutes of them, and I get frustrated with how fake they are.
Yeah.
But I would say that is how they become more popular is due to television. And even I've heard stories about the rake. But if you actually look at the history of the rake, which is kind of a gray...
Elliot, we're going to have to take a quick break here. When we come back, let's continue talking about the rake.
Let's take a break. We'll talk about the rake.
All right, Elliott Van Dusen is our special guest. She's the corporate director of the Canadian Association of Parapsychological Research and Investigation. And there, Elliott is hosting the 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium, Saturday, October 12th, 2024, in Halifax. And if you'd like to order your tickets online, ppri.net/tickets. I'm Rob McConnell. Elliot and I will return on the other side of this short break, so don't go away.
Follow the bright side.
Spend all your time waiting for that second chance, for a break that would make it okay. There's always some reason to feel not good enough, and it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh, beautiful release. Memories seep through my veins. It may be empty, or weightless, and maybe I'll find some peace tonight. In the arms of the angel, fly away.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220. and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, of the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Now, before we get back to our special guest this hour, Elliott Van Dusen, I would just like to remind people that Saturday and Sunday I do another show here on your hometown radio. It's called Your Hometown Radio Show. It's all about our hometown, Niagara, here in Ontario. And last week I had the Mayor of St. Catharines on, Matt Cisco. And we also had on Laura Dumas from Start Me Up Niagara. We were talking about the homeless and what we can do as a society. This week I have, let me see, a former member of the Niagara Regional Police forensic team who now retired and is a pastor. And we're going to be talking to him about his transition from being a forensic police officer and going into the ministry and how he is helping the community with the homelessness as well. So that's this coming Saturday and Sunday at 1 o'clock. From noon until 1 o'clock on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming classic1220.ca. And the name of the show is Your Hometown Radio Show. The website is yourhometownradioshow.ca. Elliott Van Dusen is our guest. We're talking about the 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium that's being held on Saturday, October 12th, 2024 in Halifax at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center. Now, if you'd like to get tickets, they're going fast, X-Zone Nation. ppri.net/tickets. And if you'd like to contact Elliott directly, if you have a paranormal case that you would like to discuss with him and you live in the Maritimes and you'd like him or members of his team to help you out of a ghostly situation, his email address is Elliott Van Dusen. Van Dusen at ppri.net. Van Dusen at ppri.net. Oh my gosh, a lot of PPs, RR, XX, WWs in this. Wow. Welcome back, Elliott. Now, before we went to the break, my friend, we were talking about the rake. Now.
Yes, rake, R-A-K-E. So the rake, it kind of reminds me of, like I said, the skinwalker, because you'll hear people say, oh, I think there's skinwalkers in Nova Scotia, Alberta, like I said, it's mostly a Navajo belief. Mm-hmm. But the rake, you often hear that as well. And when you look at the history of the rake, it seems to have been traced back to around 2005 as part of what they call creepypasta, or basically it's a genre of horror stories and legends that people create on the internet, and then they post them on like forums, social media, and they kind of share their stories. And the rake is typically described as like a humanoid creature with like a gray skin, almost like a gray extraterrestrial, but it has long limbs. It's very emancipated, mm-hmm. and has like sharp claws or talons, and often associated at nighttime encounters, known for stalking or attacking people. But an interesting thing, I was posting a couple TikToks videos this week for PPRI. For anyone that doesn't follow us on social media, most of our handles are at PPRI INC for incorporated. Give us a follow. But we were actually talking about a case from 2018 that happened in Quebec, and it was this strange faceless creature. It was filmed by a lady named Audrey Frechette, and it shows this kind of faceless creature that would be described as, looking like a rake, stalking a moose, and it was kind of getting, I'd say, nighttime. You could still see the road, and you could see the trees, but it was certainly getting dark. And they posted the video online, and I tried to do some research to see if it was ever debunked as a hoax, and as far as I could find, it still remained inconclusive whether or not it was a hoax or real. Now, some people did say that they thought it was a stain on their windshield, but if you watch the video yourself, you can find it on YouTube. Just type in, Quebec faceless creature, and it should come up. It's definitely not a stain on their windshield. So, very interesting. It almost makes you wonder if people. We know the mind is very powerful. We know belief is very powerful, and it almost makes you wonder. Like I look at the Phillips experiment, which happened in the 1970s here in Canada, in Toronto,
Right, yeah.
actually, probably not too far from you there, Rob, where they wanted to create a poltergeist, and they actually did eventually create a poltergeist. They would come in every day and use their minds to create this fictional ghost named Philip, and eventually this fictional ghost named Philip would respond to them by knocking on the table, and they were actually able to create a poltergeist. So it makes you wonder, if enough people believe in something, can we actually create it?
Now, with the advent of artificial intelligence on the internet and how it could make fascinating and fantastic graphics, as well as now with videos, how is this going to affect authenticating paranormal activity?
Oh, it's definitely difficult. Before I retired from the RCMP in 2020, I know our digital forensics unit was having difficulty determining real digital evidence and fraudulent digital evidence because the technology was getting so good. Now, fast forward 4 years later, some of those AI videos that are coming out are just unbelievable. I know I just read an article saying Tom Hanks caught wind that somebody was using a video of him to sell supplements, and he had to put out a statement saying that it wasn't him, that it was illegally made by AI. He doesn't, support whatever brand it is, and said that you should listen to your doctor and not,
Yes, exactly.
take supplements from this company. So, yeah, it's certainly very difficult. I actually have been meaning to sit down with I have two professional photographers and a videographer on my staff. Scott Chapman here in Nova Scotia. He's a professional videographer and photographer. And my other investigator down in Maine, Mike Shaw, he's a professional photographer. Need to sit down with them and see if they are able to tell. As far as I know, last conversation I had with them, there are some things that they can look at to see if it's been made digitally. Some of the photos that we've been getting and analyzing lately are nothing like, they haven't been generated by AI. It's usually orbs and photos that people think, are ghosts, or you'll get some strange lights. And so far, we've been able to explain most of that away. I had one lady sent us kind of these orbs around her children, and actually able to adjust the colors on the photo. You could actually see that it was a lens flare. You actually couldn't see the other orbs until he adjusted the colors and the settings on the photo. It's actually quite amazing what somebody that knows what they're doing can do with photographs. So I'll have to sit down with them and ask them, though, like, I don't know if at some point it's going to become almost impossible to tell what's real and what's fake. I always say now the paranormal's almost become seeing is believing again, because you almost have to be there to see it yourself now, to really believe in the phenomena.
I remember when CGI first made its appearance, I think about 15 years ago, and how everybody was astounded, and everybody was saying, my gosh, what's next? Well, hello, AI's here, it's next. And there are people who are actually using it to do their schoolwork for them, and I kind of figure, well, what the heck is going on here? Like, you go to school.
Oh my God,
I
was thinking of the advantages. Like, if we were back in university now, AI could do a lot of digging for you. Now, I do know, like, it still has some issues with being inaccurate, because luckily for me, I have such a knowledge in the paranormal. I've been investigating and researching it for 27 years. So sometimes when I use AI and I'm doing my research, I'll actually be able to tell that there's some things that it's producing that is completely inaccurate. And I'll actually correct it. I'll say, what about this study? And what about, what about this individual that showed this? And then it'll actually correct itself and say it was wrong. Yes, there was this study and this is what happened. So I've actually corrected AI a couple of times just because I know that there were certain studies that existed that it wasn't aware of or had, given false information on.
We've got to take our final break in about a minute and a half. Tell our listeners one more time how they can get more information on your Halifax Paranormal Symposium and where they can get tickets and, what they should look for.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love if anyone's thinking about has family back east and they want to come home for Thanksgiving, because it is on Thanksgiving weekend. By all means, reach out to me and have a conversation, and go to our website, ppri.net. When you click the menu bar, you'll see events. So click events and then click Halifax Paranormal Symposium. Or if you go to ppri.net/tickets, like Rob's been promoting all night, it'll actually bring you to our Eventbrite site, and it's got all the details on there. But I mean, if you're on the fence about coming home, it's Thanksgiving weekend. Why not come home, see some family, and grab yourself a ticket to the symposium?
The friendliest people that I've ever found whenever I've been traveling around Canada and throughout the U.S. as well as the rest of the world are the people in Eastern Canada, the East Coast. So friendly,
We do have that hospitality reputation, that's for sure.
All right, my friend, please stand by. And Exo Nation, once again, my guest is Elliott Van Dusen. His email address is vandusen@ppri.net. And we're talking about the 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium, Saturday, October the 12th, 2024, at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center. Now, tickets are available online at pppri.net/tickets. And Elliott was saying that there's a couple of vendor spots available, so give Elliott an email and say, hey, listen, I'm interested. I'm sure he'll steer you in the right direction. vandusen@ppri.net. I'm Rob McConnell, and we'll be back as we wrap up hour number 1 here on the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, from the X Zone Broadcast Network on, guess what? That's right, your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.
Make it okay. There's always some reason to feel not good enough, and it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh. Up until now, I've learned to live without love.
She was a good night.
Like a ship without a sail, wandering aimlessly lost.
Too many long nights.
I never knew how it felt to lose my control, but now that I found you, this is all so new. You and me, we've got a destiny starting tonight.
And welcome back. That was Anne Murray doing Now and Forever. And if my memory serves me correct, Anne Murray is a hometown girl. Isn't she from down east?
Yes, she
Yeah.
is.
There you go. Elliott Van Dusen is my special guest. And Ellie, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I wish you nothing but the best success for your 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium. But something that people really don't know a lot about your organization and you is that you actually teach parapsychology courses.
Yeah, so I used to teach actually at the Nova Scotia Community College many years ago when you could submit adult education, continuing education courses. But just like every other university and academic institution, the funding usually runs out for parapsychology at some point.
Hmm.
So last fall, I decided to create our own parapsychological education center, which teaches online courses. It's fairly flexible because I believe in the flexibility. I had to finish my criminology degree while working full time as a patrol officer with the RCMP in BC. So, working your 12-hour shifts, 2 days, 2 nights, plus taking academic courses. I know the struggle. So, we're fairly flexible. We do live lectures once a week. If you can't make the live lecture, don't worry about it. They're recorded. We upload the audio the following morning, and then you have all week to catch up on the recording, answer the discussion question, complete any assignments, anything like that. It's very adult learning friendly, and it's been doing fairly well. Except for the summer, I should have known the summer for anything paranormal usually dies off. So we didn't have a whole lot going on this summer. I think the only course we ended up teaching all summer was my poltergeist phenomena course. I had some students sign up for that, but we had a couple courses nobody had signed up for. But already our fall semester hasn't started yet. The first course is going to be next week, September 9th, Introduction to Cryptozoology. We're already getting students signing up for that course. We're getting a lot of students signing up, obviously, for Introduction to Demonology. That's always a popular course. That one starts September 17th. And then later in the fall, we're going to have a Dream Studies course that starts October 14th. Introduction to Parapsychology, which is usually pretty popular. That's going to start October 15th. And then Investigating UAPs and UFOs, taught by UFO researcher Chris Stiles. That's going to start October 16th. So if anyone is interested in taking, an intro to cryptozoology, demonology, dream studies, parapsychology, or you want more information on how to investigate UAPs and UFOs, you can certainly visit our website. When you go to ppri.net, just click under our services. You'll see Investigations Parapsychological Education Center. Click that, and then of course research and resources, because education to me is really important. We have three objectives at PPRI. It's investigations, research, and education. And the online Parapsychological Education Center has become an important part of what we do. And all of our students that have taken courses seem to really enjoy it. You get a certificate at the end for completing it, a certificate of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And the networking is great as well. I've met some great students that I'm still in touch with. And of course, you guys get to liaise with our guest speakers and our instructors. And it's the networking part is invaluable for courses. You've really got to take advantage of that.
Let me ask you this: why are people so interested in demonology?
I think one of the reasons is we're seeing more and more of that being pushed on television. And I know ghosts, used to be scary and creepy, and now it's all thrown in the fact of demons are the new thing. They can do more malevolent things, and it's scarier, spookier. So I do think television is one reason. Hollywood as well has been putting out, a lot of exorcism movies, demon movies. I know The Conjuring is working on their final film. I believe Russell Crowe is working on another Exorcist film. So, it's obviously a very hot topic, and it is very scary stuff when you delve into it, and some of the cases and the allegations that are made in those types of cases. So certainly I can see why it's popular. Now we're going to have our course, which starts again on September 17th for demonology, taught by James Anito. He is a deacon and a demonologist, and one of our guest speakers will be Father Bob Bailey, who has made appearances on Paranormal State and a couple of other paranormal television shows. He was a Roman Catholic priest. He's since retired, and he's done some deliverance type work. So our students always find that fascinating to hear from religious figures that have firsthand dealt with demonic or
Sure.
demonically possessed individuals.
In your opinion, how close to reality were some of the better known demonology movies and possession movies that brought this to the forefront? For example, The Exorcist.
Yeah, The Exorcist was based on a true story. They changed some of the details. It was actually a little boy that was involved. Turned out that he worked for NASA. They disclosed his identity after he passed away, but he actually used to work for NASA, and obviously didn't want his identity out. He was always afraid of being ridiculed. So until he passed away, they never really released his information. But certainly that had some factual information in there, especially when the Father Damien's leaving. Asks Reagan's mom if she had known that his father or his mother had passed away, and she said, yes, I was talking to Father so and so, and really sorry to hear that. And then he said, well, does Reagan know that my mother passed away? And she said no. And she was kind of wondering like why he asked that, but it's because a few moments before that, when the demon had taken over Reagan's body, it had made some comments about his mom passing away, and that's that having that that knowledge that they shouldn't, the unforeseen knowledge aspect. And then of course they talked about levitations when she's rising up off the bed. They talk about psychokinesis when the drawer opens and Father Damien says, did you do that? That would be psychokinesis because they're using their mind to manipulate the physical environment. So, aspects like that were realistic. But one of the most realistic movies that I've heard from exorcists, I've seen the movie, thought it was great, but a lot of people that do exorcism work said The Rite with Anthony Hopkins was actually one of the most accurate Hollywood movies made about the type of work that they do. So if you haven't seen the movie The Rite, throw it on your to watch list.
Now, at your symposium, are you going to also have people there from your school side, and will people be able to sign up for courses that you give at the Halifax Symposium?
Yeah, I kind of designed the fall semester, to be honest with you, for most of our courses this fall to happen just after the symposium. We sometimes run ads on Facebook, and of course our website has just been recently redesigned, and our SEO is all up to date. So I know a lot of people find out about our Parapsychological Education Center through Google searches. But I also wanted to save some of those courses until after the symposium. So that's why Dream Studies, Introduction to Parapsychology, and Investigating UAPs and UFOs all start after the Halifax Paranormal Symposium, because we'll be able to talk about our education center there at the symposium. And if you attend the symposium as well, there's going to be a 10% off discount code for you to take any of those courses. And then our demonology course is always popular, and cryptozoology is brand new this fall, going to be taught by Dr. Darrell Walsh, who has an interest in cryptozoology, animals, especially Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. He's a huge Bigfoot fan. Which is funny because sometimes we argue about different things in parapsychology, and he's a big believer in Bigfoot, but he's not so much a believer in other aspects of the paranormal, like reincarnation, for example.
No, are you a believer in Bigfoot?
You know what? It's interesting. If you look on the internet, you go to Google News and you type in new species found or new creature found, they're finding new species and new creatures all the time. I think that it's possible. And as I get older, I was telling someone this just recently, I'm starting to wonder about quantum physics aspects of things like UFOs and possibly Bigfoot, because some people have a good point about UFOs and aliens being interdimensional, because sometimes you'll see the UFO shoot up into the atmosphere and going towards outer space, but other times you will just see the UFO disappear right in front of your eyes. So it makes you wonder when you're hearing about, like physicists, for example, believe that there's other dimensions. Mathematically, it's possible. So it makes you wonder: are certain things like UFOs coming from other dimensions? And Bigfoot has also been related to entering and leaving through dimensions. Because why haven't we found them? Why haven't we found any of their bodies?
That's
I know
true.
there's been
Yeah.
claims of finding some of their footprints, but we've never actually captured one. We've never had the body of one.
Elliot, as happens when I spend time with you, the time goes by very fast, but we'd like to have you back on before your event on Saturday, October the 12th, and we'll be in touch with you to see when we can make it happen.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sure we can talk about a whole lot of other paranormal
Sure.
stuff. I know even in Niagara, I was just doing some research there, and was quite surprised to hear some stories about Fort George and St. Mark's Cemetery. So I'm sure there'll be lots of stuff we can talk about.
If ever you want information about Ghosts of Niagara, especially Fort George, the man to contact is Kyle Upton. And Kyle is the young gentleman that put the tours together with Parks Canada. So he's very well educated, and he's got some great stories. But I want to thank you so much for everything you do, my friend, and I look forward to the next time when you and I meet back here in the X Zone. So until then, happy ghost hunting.
Thanks, Rob. And again, it's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Take care of yourself, my friend. And X Zone Nation, my guest this hour has been Elliott Van Dusen. If you'd like to contact Elliott, his website is vandusen@ppri.net. And we've been talking about the 2024 Halifax Paranormal Symposium, October the 12th, that's Saturday, being held at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center. For more information, visit ppri.net. I'll be back on the other side of the short break as hour number 2 starts now here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, on the X Zone Broadcast Network and your hometown radio, Classic 1220. Don't go away.